Welcome back! We've started investigating this orange golden room, but so far we're still trying to make sense of it. First, we know that there's a pathway that goes to the golden dome through this door over here, but right now it's being blocked off by a grate. We also started playing around with this button, which rotated the room, and we rotated it all the way around, but we can't exactly figure out how that helps us. Well, let's go over what we did again with the button. When we pressed it for the first time, the room rotated clockwise, and the grate that was over here appeared to move over here to this wall. Then we pressed the button again and the room rotated a second time, and the grate appeared to move back the opposite direction to this wall. A third button pressed aligned the room such that this door was open again, but the grate was over here once more. Then on a fourth button press, there was no grate on either this wall or this wall. Finally, on the fifth button press, the room returned to its original configuration. So what exactly can we glean from this? Well, the room has 5 sides, and it took 5 button presses to rotate it all the way around, so presumably, one button press rotates the room exactly by one side. So with this in mind, I'm actually going to go back into the room and label each of these sides numerically, starting with this one and going clockwise. So this one with the entrance would be side number 1. And that would make this wall side number 2, this side number 3 with the golden dome, this one would be side number 4, and finally this one would be side number 5. Well, with this in mind, let's rotate the room again, and this time let's watch that grate very closely. Now, if you were looking at the grates, then you'll have noticed that it didn't actually move at all. It just stayed put while the rest of the room inside of it rotated. So what we're seeing over here is a completely different grate than the one over here. But let's apply our knowledge of the room and the numbers that we assign to each side to this situation. When we first started, sides 1 and 3 were the open ones. Then we rotated the room clockwise by one side. That means that the open doors are now 2 and 4. Now we can see side 4 over here, but we can't see side 2, because the only doors that we can see through this peephole are sides 3 and 4. 2 and 5 would be over here and here respectively, but they're adjacent to this side, which means that we can't directly see them. So if we rotate the room again, then we can assume that the sides that will be available and open on the next rotation are 3 and 5. And sure enough, we can see side 3 open now. Open in the sense that there's no wall, of course there's a grate there. And as I mentioned earlier, side 5 is right here, but we can't see that from here. So if the pattern holds up, then the next rotation should bring us back around to side 1 being open, along with side 4. And if you remember our first experimentation with this room, it was on this button press that we got the door right here to open again, which is the case here as well. So what do we do with this information? Because right now, this is the door that we've been operating from, and through it we can access only sides 3 and 4. What's rather interesting is that this is the case for all sides. Because there are 5 different configurations that this room could be in as far as which doors are open, each side has one of 2 doors that you can access at any given time. So for instance, side 1 has either side 3 or side 4 as an open door that you can access it through. Side 2 could have either side 4 or 5 as an open door, and so forth. So both side 3 and side 4 have grates at the moment, so that must mean that either we have to find a way to lower those grates, or we have to find another way into the room. But we actually already have found another way into the room, right? That locked gate out there led into a cave with a passage that led up over here. But what side was that? Well, if you remember, we were able to see into the room, and the passage with the grate that led to the Golden Dome was on the right. So that means that we were looking at sides 2 and 3. And since the two sides that we can view through any given peephole are the sides that are not adjacent to the one that we're currently standing on, that means that that's side 5. Now if we rotate the room again, it will be aligned such that sides 5 and 2 are open. And so far, side 2 is the only one that we haven't investigated yet. So it would make sense that we would want to go there next. And sure enough, we can't see either side 3 or 4 open. And since side 1 isn't open, that must mean that only sides 5 and 2 can be open. Let's test this out and go under the gate again. Well, the door is open, which is a good sign. And a new passage is open. So this must be side 2. Let's see what's over here. There's some sort of hissing sound. And it looks like this pipe is bleeding steam out into the open air. It looks like that valve is taking care of the issue, though, and it's redirected the steam into this pipe. But what did we accomplish by that? Well, let's look at here. This symbol looks remarkably similar to that telescope device that we first looked at when we got here. I guess we found the power source we needed. Well, there's a switch over here, as well as another rotation button. Well, no harm in trying this out. Sounds like something lifted up, but we weren't able to see what it was. But I'd be willing to bet that it's one of those grates. Let's push the button and see what happens here. Remember, we're on side 2, which means that we can access both sides 4 or 5. Right now the room is back in the 1-3 position again, so with one more button press we'll get it to align to sides 2 and 4. And sure enough, side 4's grate has been raised. Well, as I mentioned earlier, there doesn't appear to be anything exciting in here, just another locked door. Or is there? Hey, I think we found the missing lever that we've been looking for that raises side 3's grate, wouldn't you say? Let's test that theory out. Right now, the room is rotating from 2-4 to 3-5. We can verify this by looking through here, and since we're on side 4, the two sides that we're looking at are sides 1 and 2, and neither one of them is open. However, on this next button press, the room will be back to its 4-1 position again, which means that we can exit through this door and go back to the entrance. So with that in mind, it should take only 2 more button presses to return it to 1-3. But before I do that, I actually want to go and investigate the telescope again, just to see what we did by supplying it with power. Well, we can certainly hear the steam coming through, which is a good sign. Lever didn't do anything, but let's test the button out. Okay, that's good. So the button lowers the telescope. Perhaps if we raise the lever, it might raise it. And sure enough, that is the case. Well, that's nice and all, but this is still pretty much useless to us because we still haven't been able to open up the hatch to which this thing is pointing. So we're just going to have to come back here later once we have that. Alrighty, let's rotate this baby 2 more times. Now if you remember the cycle from last time, then you know that it's rotating into the 2-5 position, or 5-2. So that means that one more button press will get it back to 1-3. And oddly enough, this is the configuration in which the room started, so that's kind of appropriate. And the grate is down. We can finally go through. The giant golden dome fills the sky in front of us. What a sight. Although it's not actually made of gold, it's just gold-painted bricks. Economical, but still impressive nonetheless. To our left we can see the entrance area where we first started. And we can get a pretty nice view of that other island over there with the trees. And to our right we can see another passageway, although we don't exactly know where that goes. That's a slightly better view of the landing area where we first arrived. And there's another rotation button here, but at least for now this thing is useless because we can access door number 1 through here, and the only other door we can access from this point is number 5, and that goes to the exact same place. Well, we'll explore the Golden Dome in the next video.